Hey everyone, it's James from FunFoods, and today I'm going to show you how to make these individual chocolate cherry pumpkin pies. Now these are absolutely amazing, so keep watching and I'll show you step by step how to make these. The first thing we need to do is make the dough for this recipe. Now I also like to mention I got this recipe from houseofnasheats.com. I'll put a link in the description below, so go over, check it out, share the love. This was a very creative recipe and I want to give credit to the people who made it. So thank you so much for that. Once I seen it, I knew I had to recreate it. So let's start making the dough, and I have a food processor here. I'm going to use a food processor for this. You can do it other ways. They mentioned on their recipe that there are different ways of doing it, but we're going to use a food processor to make our lives a little easier. Start out with 2 cups of all-purpose flour. We're also going to add to that a 1/2 cup of cocoa. This is special dark that I'm using. You could just use regular unsweetened cocoa powder, but I'm using the special dark to make it as dark as possible. Then we're going to put in 3 tablespoons of sugar and 1 tablespoon of salt. Now I'm not measuring this, but that's good. Next you need to add 3/4 cup of butter. Now I cubed this up, and it's so much easier if you cube it, or they mentioned in their recipe that you can use grated cheese. You can grate the cheese. You can grate the butter, and that will work too. If you just put the whole solid stick in there, it'll be very hard for the food processor to really break it up. But yeah, cubing these up will help. Now just put your lid on your food processor. And we want to pulse this. They say about 10 times, but let's see. It also says we should slowly add in some cold milk to this. You can also use heavy cream, it says. We're going to add in, I have 10 tablespoons in this cup, but I'm going to add in a little bit at a time and make a mess while I do it. All right, you see the dough came together nicely here. I only used about 8 tablespoons of milk. So the dough came together nicely. Now what we're gonna do is wrap it up and put it in the refrigerator. So we're dividing the dough into 2 separate parts here. Say about there. And the rest we'll put in another one. Just take it and we're gonna wrap it in this plastic wrap. I like to push the dough in a little bit so it'll cool evenly. Take this and the other one, put it in the refrigerator for about 2 hours. It's now been a couple hours since we were done making our dough, and they've been in the refrigerator chilling, and what I'm gonna do is start with one of them. I do have a mat here that I'm gonna use a flour surface, so sprinkle a little bit of flour on there. You can use flour or cocoa powder, it doesn't matter. And unwrap this. It might help to knead it a bit before we roll it out because it's still cold. All right, so when you're done rolling this out to about 1/4 of an inch in thickness, no more than 1/4 of an inch, now what we're going to do is use a cookie cutter, a pumpkin cookie cutter, to cut out our shapes. Now I'm going to start at this end and just try to use up as much space as I can. So I only got to cut 3 out of this roll, but that's okay. We can just ball up the excess and roll it back out. Take the ones you made, put it onto a cookie sheet that's either lined with parchment paper or a baking mat. Once you have all your pumpkins cut out, what we're going to do now is cut out the jack-o'-lantern face. So the eyes and the mouth and so on and so forth. So just take a sharp knife and we're going to cut like a triangle for the eye. So while we're doing this, I'm also preheating my oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit to get the oven ready. Now that our oven has reached temperature, what we're going to do now is I have a small little bowl here. I'm going to crack one large egg. Add about a teaspoon of water to the egg, and then we want to whisk this egg up. Now just take this egg and we want to brush around the outside of this, each one. Once you're done brushing on your egg wash, what we're going to do is in the middle of the center of each one of these, we're going to put some of this cherry pie filling. Let's try to put it right in there. Roughly about 2 tablespoons worth. And just come back to our cutout and we're going to put that right over top and kind of press in around the outside. It's also a good idea to take a fork and try to push it in, just try to seal around the outside. Now just take these, we want to put this in the oven at 400 degrees for about 15 to 18 minutes. All right, so I had our little chocolate cherry pumpkin pies in the oven at 400 degrees and I put them in there for about 17 minutes. And they look like they're nice and done, a little firm around the edges. We're gonna let these cool down a little bit before we serve them. Well, now it's time for the taste test. I'm gonna dig into one of our chocolate cherry pumpkin pies, and this one is probably the ugliest one I made, so we'll try that one first. Ugly isn't bad in Halloween. This is good. Well, thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching me make these chocolate cherry pumpkin pies. They don't taste like pumpkin at all. They just look like them. That's the good news. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button. Also hit that big red subscribe button. If you're not already subscribed, you get new videos all the time. And be sure to check out some of the videos I have off to the side. And until then, I'll see you next time. 3/4 cup of, now it also says we should slow into two separate parts. Is for half of them, we're gonna draw like a jack-o'-lantern's face. Jack-o'-lantern.